What's up, y'all? This is Hammer here again, back with another video. And today I'm going to be talking about a certain black male YouTuber by the name of The Amazing Lucas. The reason why I'm going to be talking about him is because I recently have been having a disagreement with him in regards to interracial dating and whether you can interracially date as a black person and still be pro your own community. Before I get into that debate and why, in my opinion, that entire conversation exposed Lucas, I want to give you guys a background in regards to me and Lucas first, right? Now, when it comes to me, I began my political journey from the political right the same way The Amazing Lucas did, but we started from the political right for two different reasons, okay? The only reason why I was with the white conservatives was really only because, one, I was against LGBT, right? And at the time, I felt like the only party that was just openly against LGBT was the Republican Party. So I was willing to join the Republican Party. I sided with the white right. However, the moment I realized in which the white right is just as pro pussy popping as the white left, I left the party, right? Because let's be honest here, I was never under any illusions in regards to how the white right, the Republican Party, saw black people, especially me as a black man, right? I knew very well that the Republican Party and the white right did not accept black people. In fact, something that I learned with my time being in that party, in the white right political space, was that when it comes to white conservatives, when it comes to white conservatives, the only thing that white conservatives actually believe in when it comes to conserving is black people being at the bottom. They are willing to essentially compromise on every other issue. Even this abortion issue, right? With all the hoopla about the whole abortion issue, we've seen how a lot of white women, especially on the right, they were all pro-life, but then when the Supreme Court now Roe v. Wade, you saw how a lot of white females, even on the right, felt some kind of way. I mean, we saw the votes in Kansas and Ohio, in which Kansas and Ohio essentially red states, and yet we saw pro-abortion decisions, right? Voters came out there in these red states in Kansas and Ohio, and we saw how, they voted to essentially, for abortion and board of those votes. And even all across the country, we'll see how even with abortion being illegal, there is still a lot of people within the Republican Party, especially white women, who still feel a certain kind of way, and who are starting to be even more resistant to that, right? Because they feel like it's an attack on white women's independence and all that, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that white conservatives are willing to compromise on every other issue. The only issue they will not compromise on is black people and race. So what it really comes down to is the only thing white conservatives are sort of, the only thing white conservatives are trying to conserve is black people's position as being the permanent underclass. The quicker you understand that, the better it is for you. Now, this is sort of, my journey from the political right and how I ended up in where I am right now. The Amazing Lucas' journey was different. He began, being a grifter on the political right, but I feel like for him, he actually believed many of these sort of white conservative talking points. It wasn't until you had the situation of the Black Lives Matter movement, George Floyd, the shootings, where Lucas started to see the hypocrisy in how white conservatives, right, the way they will react to, white people, being gunned down and black people being gunned down. So it was the shootings that he started to realize the hypocrisy and kind of switch them. But understand that he for a very long time, he was pandering and he in many ways believed the white right talking points. Now, with the introduction of him and I done, the reason why I'm making this video is because what I am starting to see with Lucas right now is that whether he wants to admit or not, he is starting to regress back to his original white right worldview, the white conservative worldview. And what I mean by that is, I'm gonna give you an example. If you look at the entire, Republican Party, right? All of the prominent black Republicans, whether it's Brenham Tatum, Candace Owens, right? What do you see in common in all of them? all of the prominent black Republicans, the first thing they try to do is to downplay the history of black Americans in this country, right? You know, say, oh, you need to get over slavery, get over the past. It's 2023. The only thing that matters is now, right? All the history doesn't matter, right? And I believe that Lucas at one point was there too, right? Of course, after the George Floyd thing, he started hypocrisy, he started to kind of talk about history more. But I'm starting to notice that in recent times, and for those who may not know, Lucas apparently is now dating on a relationship with a non-black woman. Now based on, now this is a rumor, but based on what his subscribers are saying, right? So, based subscribers, right? They're saying that he's dealing with a white woman, right? And when I called him multiple times and I asked him, he did not deny it, right? He said, "Oh, it's none of your business." So that already tells me that it is true. But if we're going by these rumors, and even by what Lucas has alluded to, that he is getting with a white female, this confirms the recent behavior I've seen. In recent times, I have seen Lucas starting to downplay the significance of black people's history in regards to interracial dating. He wasn't sounding like this before. But the moment in which he got in a relationship with a non-black woman, all of a sudden now, race doesn't matter anymore. And when I called Luke, I believe the second time, I'm not calling him, I'm done with it, right? When I called Luke as an because I destroyed him in debate-wise twice. In fact, both times he had to hang up on me because I kept destroying him. But every time I called Lucas, I kept explaining to him, look, your stance is first of all, is unsustainable, but it's very similar to the quote-unquote black conservatives, you know, that you attack, that we attack, right? You essentially want to downplay the significance of race when it comes to interracial dating so you can justify being with a white woman, but then you want to increase significance of race when it comes to white conservatives. And what I'm saying is that, I don't know if you realize, Lucas, you can't on one hand complain that white Republicans don't care about black people's history, but then downplay that same history in order to justify being with a white woman. And for some reason, you know, he had all these messages. He didn't get this. Right? He had to go, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Well, I can still be pro. In other words, what he was trying to allude to is that he can still be pro-black and be with a white. I was like, no, you really cannot, right? Because I'm going to give you a good example, okay? You guys already know how when it comes to me, I've told you about my experiences and my friends' experience of how when it comes to non-black women, right? There's many non-black women who've tried to get with me. I've said no because I already understand what comes with that. Number one, when you're dealing with a non-black female, she is coming from a different community. She does not have the sense, but she does not experience the world you do. So it's going to be very difficult for you to go to understand certain concepts in regards to being black or being part of the black diaspora. Number two, when you get with this non-black female, her family and her community are never going to accept you. You're only going to be the black that she's dealing with. That's it. Okay? You have no ties to that group. And the moment in which y'all break up or you end, they will kick you out because, once again, you are in hostile territory. And then number three, you're not going to be able to take a non-black female and get her to cut off from her culture because that's not fair to her. If you're dealing with a white woman, right, she's going to bring her white culture with her. She's going to bring all her white worldviews with her. It's unfair to her to get her at this white female and try to force her to be a black woman. I'm like, you know what's so crazy about this? What Lucas is saying is exactly what Jonathan Majors did. And that's the reason why I lost sympathy when it came to Jonathan Majors, because Jonathan Majors, in my opinion, represents the behavior I see of a lot of black men, where a lot of black men, they want to pick and choose when race matters. When it's time for them to get with a non-black female, oh, we're all the same. I don't see color, right? But then they will try to force their non-black wife to be like a black female. Like, dude, I remember when I was a kid, right? One thing that I will commonly see, and by the way, it's not just black American men. Black men grew up have this problem too, right? Even with the Caribbean men, African men, because growing up, right, I grew up in a primarily black African church. And one thing I will see is you will see a lot of black African men that will come to church with the white wives. And they will have the white wives wearing dashiki. I'm just like, brother, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you bringing your white wife to a black African church? And why are you having your white wife wearing dashikis? It's like they go and get with a non-black female, and then they will try and force that non-black female to act like a black woman. It looks dumb. It looks horrible. It looks retarded. Like, and it's like everybody is just looking at you like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude, right? And it's like, it's so shameful that I felt ashamed for that brother. And I see that black men have this problem. Jonathan Majors goes and gets with a non-black woman, but he tries to get the non-black woman to act like Coretta Scott King. Jonathan, if you wanted a black woman like Coretta Scott King, go and get a black woman like Coretta Scott King. Why are you getting a white female and trying to force her to be like a black woman? I don't understand this. And the same thing applies with Lucas too. You're talking about how you can go and get a non-black female and force her to behave like a black woman? No, she's a white woman. She's a white woman. She's going to be white. She's whole point of view. And it's unfair for you to do that to her because she didn't lie to you. She told you she was white. You knew she was a white woman when you got with her. So why are you trying to force her to behave like a black woman? Okay? And that's so the problem I have with Lucas is that he essentially is slowly kind of scrolling back to the sort of black Republican, narrative, which is that you want to downplay race when it's convenient. Now, to be fair to you right now, you still acknowledge, the issue of the history when it comes to other areas, but there's really no, Lucas, what I'm saying is that there is no longer any difference between you and Candace Owens and Brennan Tatum. The only difference is that Brennan Tatum and Candace Owens, they downplay race and black American history 100% of the time. You downplay race and black American history when it's convenient. When it comes time to dating, when it comes out to marriage, when it comes time to dealing with a snow bunny, all of a sudden, the history doesn't matter, race doesn't matter. But then when it comes to everything else, you want to put on your dashiki and become this ultra pro-black. Stop it. I'm calling you out because your behavior, and the crazy people, when I was talking to him, right, I told him how, black men do mental gymnastics. I said, look, the reason why I said because your behavior is similar to a lot of black men I've seen, even with Jonathan Majors, where, in order for them to justify being with non-black women, they won't, all of a sudden, they become colorblind. They become colorblind when it comes to when they want to justify being with non-black women. But then when they get caught up or when shit happens, all of a sudden now they see color again. So, Lucas, the reason why you can, and to kind of resolve the debate, the reason you cannot be a black person, the reason why a black person who dates out cannot be pro-black is because, one, if you were, by the way, I'm going to focus on black men here because, look, obviously, the same thing applies to black women, but we already know that it's more prevalent with black men, right? Because, black men want to gas, they want to be like, why is it always black men? Look, black men talk all the time about how black men have more success dating out compared to black women, which is true. So you can't on one hand acknowledge the fact that black men tend to have more success dating out, but then wonder why we focus more on black men. That's the reason why. But go back to the topic, right? Especially when it comes to black men, right? If you are a black man and you decide to get with a non-black female, right? You have to understand, like I said before, right? She's not going to have the same experience than you, right? Her community and her family is never going to accept you. You're not going to be able to force her to be into a black woman, Jonathan Majors, Amazing Lucas. That's not how that works. And most importantly, your child is not going to fully relate to you. The only reason why biracial children, even in my opinion, align with black people is because the other side doesn't accept them. Non-black people do not accept half black biracial kids. They don't. If you're half black, you are not going to be accepted in a non-black community. The only people who accept half black biracial kids are black people. So a lot of times biracial people only identify with black because they have to, right? But many of them resent that because they don't want to be part of the they know that black people are the permanent underclass and they don't want to be part of that. And so for a lot of them, they do everything they can to be associated with non-black groups because they don't want to be the bottom. I'm like, look at Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle spent her whole life identifying as a biracial, right? It wasn't until she went to the UK where white folks sort of going at her, calling her all kinds of N-words, that she was forced to identify as black. But even then, she cried because she didn't want to be black, right? Because she doesn't want to deal with what comes with that. So even when you have that biracial kid, that kid is gonna fight as much as they can to be accepted by non-black people. That's the reason why. That's why we have this stereotype of the biracial person who essentially dumps on black people and tries so hard to get the validation of non-black people, because they resent the fact that they are forced to be part of the black classification. And Lucas, if your non-black child decides to marry out, that's it. Because if they decide to marry a non-black person, your black genes are gone, because your grandchild is now going to be, I will say, 70% non-black now. So if your child is half black and get with somebody who's 100% non-black, your child is now 70-80% non-black. So at that point, your lineage is done, and your biracial child and your non-black grandchild will not relate to you as a black man whatsoever. They will align more with non-black communities. But yet, black men, because here's the issue, look. The reason why I'm focusing on black, because I don't see this with black women, right? You may have your diversity, but I don't really ever see black women say that, hey, I can go out here with a non-black man and be pro-black. I don't see that. You may have some, but for the most part, it's not really prevalent. This argument is primarily mainly from black men. And the problem I have with it is that they always say this before the card gets pulled. This always happens, right? When they're trying to justify being with a non-black female, all of a sudden now they want to erase the history. They want to erase color. All of a sudden now, race doesn't matter. But just like Jonathan Majors, when they get caught up, when the black card gets pulled, when they get the racial wake-up call, all of a sudden now race matters. But see, here's the problem, Lucas. Just like Jonathan Majors, when that situation finally happens to you, you're going to be by yourself. You're going to be by yourself. Because not only is a black community not going to support you because you're out here, swirling, but non-black people are not going to support you either. And also, it's going to be very hard for you as a black man to claim racism when you got a white female and a biracial kid. Because white folks are going to say, well, if you really feel so strong about race, why are you with this Becky? Why is your kid half white? And so, Lucas, I am done with you and I am tired, because you are now you slowly regress back to the white, to sort of black conservative mentality. Now, let me make something very clear. I believe in traditional values. There is a difference between being someone who believes in traditional values and being a black conservative. Black conservative just means you carry water for the white right. Lucas, you regress back. The only difference is that, unlike Candace Owens and Brenham Tatum, that essentially ignores race 100% of the time, you, however, ignore race when it benefits. You ignore race when it's convenient. When it comes to dating out, you want to ignore race and the history. But when it comes to every other aspect, all of a sudden now you want to become this pro-black dude with dashiki on. That's not going to work. And white people are not going to let you do that too. Non-black people are not going to do that too, because they're going to see the hypocrisy for that. They're going to call you out on hypocrisy too, because you're not going to be able to go in their community, fuck their daughters, and then when they pull your black card, all of a sudden now you want to talk about racism. No. But they're going to say, if you care so much about race, why are you fucking our daughter? So I'm just tired. And the reason why I have to make this video, and to be honest, what I'm probably going to do is make another video about black men and just, black men don't really hate white supremacy. They hate white men. That's all it is. You simply hate white men. Because when it comes to white women, white supremacy just vanishes. All of a sudden now it no longer exists. So that's going to be another video. But the reason why I'm making this video is because I'm disappointed seeing, Lucas, who I thought was starting to sort of escape the black conservative coon mentality. But I guess ever since he's got with the Snow Bunny, he slowly regressed. Now all of a sudden, in order for him to justify being with his white woman, all of a sudden now, race doesn't matter. All of a sudden now, well, yeah, as a black man, I can be out here with a white female with biracial kids and still be pro-black. No, you cannot. You are in a compromised position. But anyway, y'all, that's my video there. But for me, I think I'm probably not gonna watch video because I'm tired with Lucas. Because he's and you know what's so funny about it is that Lucas, I know how this ends. Because I've seen this happen with countless black men, including Jonathan Majors. I know how this ends. Eventually, when you find yourself in that situation, when you find yourself in that situation, when your black card gets pulled, and these non-black people remind you that, hey, it doesn't matter how much you're fucking our daughter, you're not a part of our community. When you get put in your place, when they remind you that you're not one of them, all of a sudden now, race is gonna matter. All of a sudden, dude, bro, there's literally right now on YouTube, you know, a black male YouTuber, right? He married a white woman, right? Every other video he makes is about how much he regrets being with a white female. He's married to her. He talks about how, you know, when he first started off, you know, it was great. He didn't see race. But now, deep in the marriage, right, you know, essentially, he gets G-checked all the time, right? They have to put him in place. They have to put his black ass in his place. They have to remind him all the time, hey, yo, you're in our community, nigga. You're in our community. Like, you're not in the black community. You're fucking our woman. So over here, it's our rules. So I know what's going to happen to you, Lucas. You know, you're going to fuck around and find out. Okay? Because someday will come around and these non-black people are going to remind you that, hey, you're still in their community. You're still fucking their women. And they can eject you anytime they want. And they're going to put you in that place. And when that happens, you're not going to be able to do anything about it. Just like Jonathan Majors. All you're going to be able to do is sit there, cry, and take it. I'm like, you may make some videos all of a sudden caring about race when it comes to dating, but you're not going to do anything about it. And the crazy part is, the white female you with, she's going to side with her people first, not you. So I would say is good luck. You know, unfortunately, he's been Snow Bunny, but good luck, brother. And I want you to understand that, you know, when your black card gets pulled, I'm not going to save you. I'm not going to have any sympathy for you. Because you were on here on these lives talking about you can be out here swirling with non-black women, but still pro-black. No. Okay, fine. And when your black card gets pulled, stay on that side. But with that being said, yo, I'm going to leave it there. Y'all tell me in the chat what y'all think about this video. Do you agree or disagree with me? That's fine. But with that being said, y'all, and I'm going to make another video in regards to, you know, black men, how black men, you know, they don't hate white supremacists. They just hate white men. I'll admit that video. But what I mean to y'all, thank y'all so much. Like, tell me what you guys think in the chat. Like, share, subscribe. Hammer out.